This week on Ambitious, Awakened, and Aligned, we have one of our beautiful regular contributors, Kristina Kastelanac, the founder of Bodywise Insights. And this week, we are going to talk about from stuck to sovereign, letting the body lead you through breakthrough. Kristina is so passionate about uncovering hidden parts that are holding you back from materializing your wildest dreams. She runs a Bodywise Insights online group program, and it's an 8-week program with group calls. She is there to guide people, hold their hands, and help them learn how to rewire their stuck stress patterns. She helps people learn how to unwind emotions, thoughts, and behaviors through their own body, through the work with your own body, so that you can let go of what's weighing you down and truly build a life that you love and achieve all the dreams that you desire. Let's welcome Kristina to this week's podcast. Well, as always, I love when one of my favorite people in the world, Kristina, joins us for a deep conversation about connecting to our body. And from our past conversations, everyone knows that Kristina continues to walk a beautiful, gentle journey with me to learn everything that we're sharing with you. And I think even before we popped on the podcast, Kristina and I were sharing that there are no gurus. There's no one that's arrived. Both of us continue to do our work, continue to lean into the parts that don't always feel great. And so this is why this work is so important and why you're such a gift to the world. So thanks for being here with us again, Christina.
Oh, thank you for having me, Laurie. It's a really nice realization to know that you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be right. You just have to do the best you can. Keep looking towards what will make you a little bit better and a little bit better, meaning a little more lightness, a little more feeling of freedom, a little more feeling of connected to source. Whatever, those are the pieces that will help us to keep evolving towards light and love and doing good in this world.
So true. And so we're calling today from stuck to sovereign, letting the body lead your breakthrough. What? The body? Yes, the body lead your breakthrough. So, Christina, you believe our bodies are our business partners. We've had this conversation, that part of it. Can you take us into a moment that you knew that this was more than just something someone was telling you? You actually felt that it was your calling to support people with this.
Ooh. When I started diving deep within myself and felt my own body speaking to me through sensations and how powerful that was. It's not the words that you speak that are important. It's not the ideas you have or the actions you take necessarily. It's the connection you have within, what it's trying to show you or tell you, and then acting from that place or doing from that place that
Mhm.
starts to shift. Oh, starts to shift everything. I feel like the power of listening to the body is that you get to feel into what is right and good for you, and that which is taking you off course and taking you into a place of more fear, more anxiety, more hardship. And so, if you can catch those moments and sit with them and allow them to be there, they have wisdom to share with us. And then you organically, naturally move into a place of calm and peace and lightness and healing. So, the moment that I could see that all the pain that I was feeling was there for a reason was the moment I said, "Oh my gosh, there's a point to all of this." The point is to be with it, to hear it out, to let it process through, and then return to what is meant to be, which is light and love and that freedom feeling.
Mm.
And so when I started to feel that, I kind of craved it. I would like go after the next crazy trigger inside of me because I knew in the end I would return to that piece and have some other piece of me come back, like some other piece that was wounded or hurt or lost would then come back to me.
Mm.
So that's what spurred me on to keep doing this within myself, and then I got to show other people how to do that, and then they started to feel not so scared about facing all the darkness that comes up within us. Darkness just being whatever we interpret as negative,
Mm.
and if we can sit with that and learn from it, and it sort of moves along. And it's very empowering. So, the moment those sorts of things happened for me, I was like, "I need to bring this to everyone," because pushing it down doesn't work. Doing the same thing over and over again doesn't work. We need to we need to go inward.
I think that for so many people, I know for myself that, I mean, it sounds so beautiful, and there's this awareness cracking open in people, and I know that was what I felt at first, where you need that connection to body, that deep alignment between body and mind and spirit. It's conceptually makes sense,
Mhm.
but then being disconnected from body for so long for many people, especially, high achievers, very much disconnected. The awareness is there. Like, how? What's what's something that even is that first knowing? Like, I remember you and I were working through something and my stomach would always growl, and I didn't even recognize that was connection to
Mhm.
body. So now when the growl comes, I'm like, "Oh, my body's actually trying to speak to me." So for many of us that start with the we know, but we don't know how, what is that guidance to really tap into your body?
Yes. So this is what the Bodywise programs are all about. Over 8 weeks, I teach people how to do that work because
Mm.
it no one knows, no one has learned, but some people have, again, this knowing, but also some people have a little bit of connection with their body through nature or through yoga or through cooking, or through eating, right? Like there's something sometimes that people can really dive into, or a hug or time with loved ones. There's something. And that's oftentimes where we can begin to recognize, where does the mind stop? Where does the doing stop? And in those moments, you want to feel like you can kind of turn around, turn your consciousness towards yourself and simply ask, what am I noticing?
Mm.
And you're looking for any sensations. And as you name a sensation, your mind is going to say, who the heck cares? This doesn't matter. Let's keep going on, whatever. That's just the pattern built in to ignore, to suppress. That's okay. It's there because it's been there for a long time. As soon as you start naming anything, like you named the growl
Mhm.
in your stomach. So then you start to say, every time that pops up, the body starts to know, wait a second. She stops, she pauses, she listens to me when I do this.
Mm.
And then it starts happening a little bit more, and you start paying attention a little bit more. And that's how it starts to grow, this relationship with you and your body. And then what you ask is, as soon as you notice something sensation wise, you sit with it and you say, and what happens next? It allows the body this opportunity to show you what it's holding on to. Maybe it's an emotion, maybe it's another sensation, maybe there's some movement. Whatever it is that happens next, you just name it. And that's the beginning of you building this relationship, this two-way communication.
Love that. What is something that you personally have discovered by listening to your body that maybe surprised you?
Ooh, so many things. Early on in my journey, this was, I don't know, 8, 9 years ago, I had this perception of myself as being like, "I'm all natural. I love nature. I'm whatever. I don't like makeup. I don't love whatever, anything surface," right? I kind of rejected all those pieces. And at one point, it kinda came to the surface that I stopped and I paused and I thought, "Wait a second, why is this something I've attached myself to?" And the memory that bubbled up to the surface was this experience when I was a 6 years old and put makeup on for the first time and was then embarrassed by my family and friends because, of course, you're a child, so you put on, like, the electric blue eyeshadow and the bright red lips and whatever it was I did. It was fantastic. I thought it was incredible. I thought it looked fantastic, but there was a big piece of shame that came in that moment. I didn't remember that until I sat with the feeling of being attached to something about myself and was like, "Wait, why is that? Why am I so attached to that?" It was just a guarding against shame and ridicule from people around me, right?
Mm.
So that's just one example, and there's so many where if you just pause and ask yourself, why is there that like rigidity towards something? And then you open that up and you see the ocean of stuff underneath it.
All those perspectives, shame, guilt, emotions that we attached to some situation that we, for the most part, have forgotten, right? Oh my gosh. And that's something you talk about a lot is these hidden parts that actually
Mhm.
hold us back from materializing those like wildest dreams that we actually have. So what are some of those hidden invisible blocks that you can kind of walk us through how we can come into awareness with them? How can we
Mm.
make them not hidden?
Yes, I love that. So first off, like a clue is if something keeps happening over and over and over again, and you get frustrated about it and you want it to change and be different,
Mm.
that means that there are probably 2 or more parts involved. There's the part of you that wants change and something different, and there's a secret part deep inside that wants it just the way that it is.
Mm.
And admitting that is the first step to uncovering it. So if you want something to be different, you can pause and say, I wonder, just holding the question, I wonder if there's a part of me that does not want this. And as you even say those words, notice what your body brings up. And that's the breadcrumbs you start picking up on the trail toward the parts of you that really want to protect and save you from from some illusion that it had to create early on.
That is so juicy. That is
Mhm.
so juicy because we have these big goals and dreams. And then I don't know if anyone listening has caught themselves saying this. I just don't understand like what's in the way, what's keeping this from coming to fruition. I'm doing all the things, I've done all the things. I've heard my own voice say that. Like I'm doing all the things to get to that place.
Mhm.
And yet, have we tapped into what else is going on that actually has I would call it almost a competing priority. Which,
Exactly.
underlying will be somewhere wrapped in fear or safety, like just feeling safe because the body always wants to feel safe. So that's kind of aligned with stress. Like stress, the patterns of stress are manifesting in our bodies all the time without us being aware of them. What can we begin to notice even in our bodies? So aside from the that hidden piece you just talked about, what can we start to notice when we're kind of on autopilot and not noticing? How can we start to
Mm.
notice?
Ooh. Well, even I mean, that is hard because it usually has to reach some sort of threshold, right?
Mhm.
So my jaw is clenched and I'm grinding my teeth at night and have a headache in the morning. Oh, it reaches some level of threshold. I perceive pain, and then that's your cue to pay attention to your body.
Mhm.
That
Those are
something is
good
off.
ones though, Christina, because I think people just go to the pain
Mhm.
without the next step,
Yeah.
right? So those are actually, I think, here's what you need to start to notice.
Mhm.
Jaw clenched, headaches all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Continue.
Any level of pain, any moment of discomfort or pain, would be an indicator from your body that something is not aligned, something that's not
Mm,
right, especially if it's pain or discomfort that is recurring and only around certain times, certain people, certain places, certain things, certain experiences. You know, the worry and fear about your children comes up, and
mm,
you always get stomach ache and loose stools when that happens, right?
mm,
Then you know there's something deep there
mm.
that you're holding on to, some attachment. Of course, we have lots of attachments to our children that is creating dysfunction, right? And creating suffering and creating, and probably not helpful for the children either, right? The people we worry about. So it's that. It's noticing anything that you either pain or discomfort or any sort of struggle. It could be even mental, emotional, and anxiety, right? The moment you notice an anxiety, it's sort of like a check in moment here. It's like, is this coming from me or is this coming from outside of me? You know, do I need to, right, step away and start tuning into yourself?
And I think we have so many short-term solutions for these things, right? So we have a pain, we run to physiotherapy, we run to massage therapy, we run to chiropractic, we run to all these things, and sometimes we need those pieces.
Oh, yeah.
I have come to learn that even when those pieces support,
Mhm.
it it potentially is going to become recurring without the work that we're talking about right now. So I have this chronic neck issue that causes some dizziness, and Christina and I had what I would call a breakthrough conversation. So I think about transformation, right? So I think about the difference between in the moment feeling a little bit better short term versus truly transformative repair and support. And I would say that's the difference between leveraging those practices or tools that I just mentioned versus diving into Christina's 8-week program and then continuing that type of work with your body. And I still leverage both end. There's
Oh,
times
yeah.
where massages is gonna feel really great in the moment, and I've come to recognize I need to align that with also tapping into my body in the way that you just spoke about. So, how maybe you have another example top of mind of helping someone kind of rewire that relationship with stress so that they could shift it.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, there's that moment where something bad comes in. It's perceived as bad, right? And it's familiar to you.
Mhm.
As soon as you notice it's familiar and I'm judging it as bad,
Ugh.
you have the opportunity to say, I can do my management strategies. I
Mm,
can go and get it, you know, supported somehow. And that's great. We can do that. And like what you said you're doing, you're using the and, doing both, that you can see as it arrives, can I go a little deeper and face it just for 10 seconds?
mm,
Like sometimes I say when big stuff comes up, if you can just be with it for 10 seconds, you're going to learn something.
mm,
And then you can go do whatever you were going to do. And that's fine. That's sort of like how you begin, is by tiny little moments at a time, and it starts to crack open a little bit more. The big, like, transformation shifts and changes, I think that's where you need support,
mm,
whether it's, online program that I have, whether it's that one-on-one support that people give that do somatic work. You also need that support, and that can be wonderful in terms of guiding you through and how to navigate this relationship back and forth. But What cracks it open is you just allowing it to be there for a moment and see, okay, here it is. I'm facing it. It's so freaking hard. I don't want to feel this yet again, this care or this whatever. And then you do, and you see that it doesn't kill you. Because oftentimes our psyche believes that these things are just going to kill us, right? And then it doesn't. You're like, oh,
It feels like it though,
I
Christine.
know, I know, right? It totally does.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I also need to say that there is often physical components. You cannot avoid that. You also need to dive deep into what is physically happening in the body, whether it's in the diet, in the structure of the body, in the way that you're moving your body. Like all those things are true, but all those things are also connected with internal cues and behaviors too. So let's say, for example, you have a tendency to overeat. Sometimes that sometimes happens to me. So I will overeat
Mm,
because of many reasons. But the one that's coming up lately is I have this lineage of parents and grandparents going hungry when they were little,
mm,
and starving, and there was starvation in the lineage. And so I can feel that. Like, and if there's food in front of me, I will eat it
mm.
because there's this feeling of if it's there, you have to take it because it could go away at any moment. And so, there again, you play around with those pieces showing up for you, and you notice that me overeating leads to other physical problems, right? Bloating, distension, blah, blah, blah. And then it creates discomfort and pain. So you're sort of trying to again, you gotta reach the root cause of it so that it doesn't happen anymore. But there's also a physical component.
Mm.
So then I'll drink some chamomile tea and some mint tea because it helps with the right? And it does help to take away the discomfort, but I'm also reaching the root cause of it.
You said something that really stands out for me, and it is understanding the biology of our nervous system. It's understanding how we're actually created, which I think for people that love strategy and love to know the practicality of something, this is the practical truth that our bodies want safety. And
Yes.
so they're going to scream at us in all sorts of different ways to get our attention to create that safety. So, maybe help people understand this is science, which is so
Mhm.
practical, even
Yes.
though then we're tapping into how did our emotions and everything else kinda get wrapped up in it, but at the core, it really is science. Like, help share a little about that with us.
Yeah. Yeah, so then in the nervous system, we have our responses to threat. So our body responds to threat by either engaging in a response like fight, flight, or shutting down into freeze. And that's its threat response, right? Fight, flight, or freeze. And so when we're in that zone, our body physically will do certain things. Muscles tighten, blood flow goes to the brain, blood flow goes to the muscles if you're engaging the fight flight response. It will start to mobilize for action, right? And so even if the threat is not someone chasing you, it's a nasty email coming your way, that's going to come in to your system and you're going to perceive that, and all those chemical reactions are happening. All those neurotransmitters are firing and are swimming around in your brain and in your stomach and everywhere. And so we need to recognize when that happens, let that come up and flow through, and then what the body naturally wants to do is defend itself, right? And if there's action to be taken, that needs to be taken, okay. But also sometimes it's nice to settle, let your system settle, of course,
Mhm.
come back into rest and digest in some way, and then approach whatever the threat appears to be, right?
Mm.
We all know it's better to address a threat when we're in a settled place versus in that activated place. So we might practice that. But yeah, so the body's that's what it's doing all of the time. You're assessing your environment, and it's, of course, trying to keep us safe all of the time. So you're looking around, you're assessing, you're taking information in, and the body needs to organize what is threat, what is not. And if and sometimes a threat comes from within. So there might not be somebody says something to you
Mm.
and they didn't mean any ill will by it or anything, but you in yourself get triggered, and then a whole cascade occurs from within. And again, that's just another threat, but from the inside out versus the outside. And then you again have to let that move through, let it settle, again, learn from it as it arrives. But yeah, your body's always going to be doing that. It
Mhm.
wants to move towards pleasure and safety and move away from pain and threat.
Mhm. Which is all around us at all, at various times throughout the day, we experience that. So, just having that awareness, I think, kind of eases the even the stress response around what can I do? How do I manage this? For people, though, that really do feel stuck
Mm.
and even as they're listening are thinking, I don't know where to go. What is one body-based practice, a simple one that can people could try to start shifting?
Mhm. So, I mean, a really basic one is called orientation. So you can orient to the world around you, especially if it's coming up, these triggers are coming up from the inside out, and your mind is just producing these stories, narratives. Then what you want to do is you can pause and use your body to look around. Use your eyes, your ears, your sense of touch, taste, and smell. And so, whatever you connect with most, perhaps you love that visual sense as it comes in. But you can look at insanely beautiful pictures of your last vacation that you were on, and not just flipping through them, but really sit with it. Really look at that whole picture, remembering that moment for yourself. Bringing yourself into an experience that was safe is going to help to dissolve the charge. That starts the process of bringing in something different or new. So, orienting using your sight, your eyes, your ears, your sense of touch is going to help with that. Or bringing in something that really helps to make you feel safe, and
Mm.
then bringing that in.
Amazing. Great insight. So body-wise, tell us a little bit more about the program, and we can find it at bodywiseinsights.com. And I'm also curious for you, has anything shifted in when you first started sharing Bodywise with the world and how you're sharing it today? What has even transformed for yourself through that opportunity to be in the work?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I'm constantly changing and doing my own work. So then the way that I sit with people shifts and changes. If anything, it's just gotten deeper. Like I do less and be more, really, in moment by moment. And so that really helps people to know that that stuckness is an illusion, that when you see someone being able to sit in safety when everything in your system is freaking out, it's like this recognition goes off in you that, "Oh my gosh, she believes I'm safe.
Mm.
Maybe I'm safe. Maybe it's all gonna be okay." And then there's that part of you that moves forward towards that and trusts it and believes it, right? So, if anything, I've just been able to provide that more and more for people
Mm.
in the space, in the group calls that I host on online programs. So, yeah, I run it twice a year, typically in the springtime and in the fall, and whoever wants to join gets to join, come in, and we have 5 group calls, and I love the group atmosphere
Mhm.
because I'm setting the stage of this container of safety, this container of just love, and then everyone else there feels it too, and they're there for one another in support. And we don't talk about our problems or air all that stuff out. It's really just about, and how does your body experience it? Let's get to the nitty-gritty of it, get to the root and like extract, right? So I just love to take people through that process. It doesn't have to be muddled with thoughts and narratives and beliefs. It can just come down to working it through the body. So yeah,
It's a beautiful program, and so, stay tuned, we'll always give you links. Look at the bodywiseinsights.com to see when the next is coming up. But as you were describing that, sort of the evolution of Bodywise, it made me think of sometimes we have to borrow belief from someone around us as we're starting our journey in any way. And so, I borrowed belief from you, Christina, in the beginning because I didn't have that innately built knowingness about my body, with my body. And so I had to borrow that belief at first until it became a muscle that has felt aligned and natural for me. And now my belief comes from inside and I'm still learning and evolving. Every conversation I have with Christina, she brings me deeper into this awareness of the beautiful relationship that we get to have and work together in partnership with our bodies. And I'm so grateful for that. I want you to finish this sentence. When we choose to come home to our bodies, we when we choose to come
we
home to our bodies,
we reconnect with our essence. We let it flourish. We give it permission to move into this world more fully. And we live with a feeling of freedom, abundance, and fulfillment. Long sentence.
isn't that what we all want? Freedom, abundance, and fulfillment. That's it. That's all.
And on
Oh.
that question, Lori, that was so beautiful.
It's always just poo having a conversation with you. So if this conversation sparks something inside of our listeners, please reach out to Christina. She has been absolutely life filling and life changing for me. And I look back on who I was before I knew Christina and who I am today. And I'm just in awe of the support that you've provided in my own transformation. So we will hear from Christina again soon. Thanks for being here.